Yes, everyone, what's going on? Stephen Howson. This is Full Time Devils, and it's time for a little bit of Transfer Daily. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of bullshit for us to start swimming in. So let's get fired straight into it. First things first then is De Ligt. What's going on with Matthijs de Ligt? The guy's come out and basically said, he's not said it. There's going to be updates very soon. It seems like Barcelona might have pulled out of the race. It seems like we've just offered far too much cheddar for him to be able to turn down. He's made all the right noises. That makes me think that actually we are a possible destination for him. I've refused to get carried away with it being giddy, thinking that this could actually happen, because it makes virtually no sense for him to come to United. You could argue that it's better for him to go to Liverpool and play alongside his international partner. You could argue it's better for him to go to Manchester City and probably replace Vincent Kompany, because they're definitely going to be on the lookout for a new defender, and he pretty much fits the bill of someone who can ball play from the back and a little bit of a leader. There's a lot of reason why he would want to go to Barcelona, and that obvious connection with Ajax and Barcelona being something that could just continue. Why would you come to United, apart from for cash? Unfortunately, we've got a lot of cash. So maybe that's something that's going to actually happen. We've also got Edwin van der Sar, and the Telegraph came out today and said the feeling around this transfer in Holland is that Manchester United would be a better option for him. There's some talk that he would actually prefer to be seen as the face of a rebuilding project instead of going to one of those other places where it may or may not work and you may not find yourself in the first team. He also said he wants to go somewhere where he's definitely going to play. Well, guess what? He's definitely going to play at Manchester United. There's no way he's not going to be playing at Manchester United. He would be far and away our best defender by a country mile. Next one I'm going to talk about then is Joao Felix. Obviously, a fantastic breakout season that he's had this year. Absolutely shitting goals left, right and centre. It seems like he's being linked with everyone. Juventus are heavily linked with him. There's the two big Spanish giants that are linked with him. And of course, United and City are linked with him. Do I think we'll get him? I don't really think so. I think if we was going to spend 100 million, which is rumoured to be what the asking price is going to be on any player, for me, it's got to start at the back. I don't know how we can justify spending that sort of cash on someone who plays up front in a position that we've kind of already got players that sort of playing. Not identical, but people who are sort of in that kind of ballpark. So it doesn't make a whole lot of financial sense for United to go and do that. That being said, a lot of what we've done in the past doesn't make a lot of financial sense, so there's not really much precedent to be set for that. The MEN are doing their absolute damnedest to make this a United versus City thing, because there's nothing that the blue quarter of Manchester love more than trying to stick it to the red three quarters of Manchester. And this is one way for them to do that, is to go head to head over a player and then be like, when the one didn't get him or one of them got him. They'll be shit stirring about that all the way. Do you remember when the MEN used to be an actual good newspaper rather than an absolute pile of shite that it is now? The blue bit use it like a fanzine, an absolute cheerleading for all of the human rights abuses that go on in Abu Dhabi, and the red bit use it to just hate on the club. It's absolutely mental. Absolutely mental. David Mead was a phenomenal journalist, and I bet he'd be absolutely wounded to see what it became when he was gone. Anyway, next up we've got James, who we're going to probably start referring to as Hammers just to piss everyone off. It was obviously meant to have been a done deal. He's away with Wales now, and with Ryan Giggs, who's had some really good things to say about him. I don't think he was ever coming in to be a first choice player for Manchester United. It is a squad game, and I think he's someone that, he's young and he can develop, but he's also someone that's not going to be kicking off and spitting his dummy out if he's not being given the opportunity to play 50 games a season. I think this would have been announced already, but for his father passing away. I also don't really understand why that hasn't made it happen, because United could announce it prior to a medical like they've done previously. It's like, look, we've agreed a fee with Swansea, we've agreed terms of the player, subject to a medical, he will be a Manchester United player. Clearly with his father passing away, we're going to give the guy some time off. And then we'll announce it in due course. They could have done that. I don't know why they didn't choose to do that. Maybe because it's a common sense thing to do. That's pretty much it in terms of ins. There's obviously a lot to talk about with Fernandes. He's the big name that everybody seems to be linking everybody to at the moment. There seems to be a lot of people that want him to come. The reports that are coming out seem to be from Ebola and a couple of the other Portuguese newspapers and outlets, and they're the ones that really seem to push this one forward. But these are the ones that write about every single player and link them to Manchester United. Now, the numbers that Fernandes put up this season, phenomenal. And unlike Joao Felix, it makes a lot of sense for the sort of money that he's going to be touted for. Somewhere between 60 and 75 sort of million makes a hell of a lot of sense, I think, for United to go for someone like this. And if we're going to play something like a narrow 4-4-2 diamond, there's your number 10 right there. This guy is putting in about twice as many key passes as Paul Pogba. He's taking twice as many shots as someone like Anthony Martial. This is a guy that would create and score goals. Now, yes, you've got to factor in that there's going to be a difference in standard in Premier League and in the Portuguese league, but he's going to be a player that does both of those things. Whether he does them to the same level or not, it's probably unlikely, but he's definitely going to be a player who does both of those things. I think he'd slot straight in. I also think there's a very real chance that he's going to Manchester City as well. Much like the Joao Felix one, I'm not sure United's name is in there for legit reasons. I think it's probably just that little game that everybody likes to play, link United to every single player. We're not going to sign everyone, and I think he's probably one that's not going to sign. That was the ins. Time for the outs. There's only really two to talk about. First one I'm going to talk about is Ashley Young. Oh my God, I ordered almost 3,000 sausage rolls and almost put a party on in Manchester Piccadilly for everybody. But it's lies, unfortunately, because nobody wants this to be true more than me. Unfortunately, that little news that broke out about Ashley Young's off to DC, it was from just a fake Twitter account. And I would expect to see way more of this over the course of the summer. There's going to be loads of little knobs pop up like that Diego M Sport. Are people honestly really believing an account that won't even show its face? That's the guide you should go for. Or all of these brand new blah 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 BBC accounts. They're not real. The real journalists are all verified. The only one that's not, weirdly, is Simon Stone, and he's actually one of the ones to be trusted the most. But you're going to end up with all of these. Again, the MEN actually wrote an article on the back of it being a fake thing. They're absolutely ridiculous, aren't they? They're ridiculous. Journalism's dead if we're looking at the MEN as a standard of it. Absolute shit blog. The other one that we've got then is Lukaku, and I actually think there's a lot in this one. Earlier in the season, Lukaku mentioned something along the lines of it would be a dream to go and play in Serie A. And you go, okay, why is he saying shit like that? That's not really cricket. Then there's a little bit more smoke, a little bit more smoke, a little bit more smoke. It seems like Inter Milan, especially with Conte, are going to be wanting someone to lead their line. They've looked at both Sanchez and Lukaku, allegedly, and it seems like Lukaku is the one that makes more financial sense. Well, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. It's a shame that it's not worked out for Lukaku at United. Scoring 27 goals in his debut season was no mean feat, and it should just be looked upon as a decent feat. I was so excited when he signed, but it hasn't worked out for him. And I think in the style of play that Ollie wants to play, he doesn't suit it. He was what Mourinho wanted, but Mourinho also wanted tools that was going to unlock the best out of him as a player, and I think putting on a right load of timber for the World Cup definitely didn't help that. And I think if he's able to get that off, he'll probably go and score a shitload of goals. But I think in the current state of play, the way everything is going with the sort of players that United seem to be going, United definitely want this fast counter-attack, blistering pace, tons of work rate. Unfortunately, Lukaku's not that. Lukaku, outside of the box, lethargic, doesn't really seem to come alive. Inside the box, he definitely does. He definitely does do that. And people like to disagree with this, but it's purely factual. He's actually quite a clinical striker. The problem is he's not having anywhere near enough opportunities to be able to put the ball in the back of the net. You know, he's having somewhere in the region of 60, 70 shots a season. The likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, even Harry Kane and Aguero are having 100+ shots every single season. That's why their goal tallies are higher. Ronaldo's really unclinical. Messi is really unclinical. But because they're having tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of shots, they're actually putting the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis. Lukaku is better in terms of how many attempts it takes him to get a goal. He just doesn't have enough attempts. And I think a lot of that's down to work rate and possibly even a little bit down to attitude. So I think there's something in this. I think Lukaku probably will end up at Inter Milan. I think you could kind of see that the writing was on the wall for him towards the end of the season. Ollie wasn't selecting him even when he wasn't fit. Even when he was fit, and Marcus wasn't fit, he was preferring to go with Marcus. I think that's very telling. So I would expect that probably to be the one that actually comes off. And in terms of the ins, we'll have to wait and see. I'd love a defender like De Ligt. I think someone like Wan-Bissaka at fullback, and you've made a massive difference in that defence. aside from that, it could all be bullshit, couldn't it? Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.